welcome once again. Looks like we have quite a good crowd today, and I'm really excited to talk to all of you about this. Today we are talking about how to launch your big idea and focusing specifically on setting yourself up for success. My name is Scott James, and I am the brand strategy manager here at Greenleaf Book Group. You can find me on Twitter on Scott and James, and of course you can find Greenleaf Book Group on Greenleaf Book GR on Twitter. We're going to have quite a few things throughout this presentation that can involve Twitter. So if you are a Twitter user, we'd love for you to be on there, and the hashtag that we're using is hashtag BigIdeas2015, and we would love to have you participate, ask questions through Twitter, and share your thoughts as we go through this webinar at any point in the presentation. So once again, welcome. And like I said, we're going to be talking about big ideas quite a bit this year. That's something that we're passionate about here at Greenleaf. And we have the honor of working with a lot of experts in their fields and a lot of people who come to us with big ideas. And one of the things that we like the most is to help people turn those big ideas into something that goes out and succeeds in the world, whether that's as a project or as a book or whatever it is that they see as the way to manifest that big idea. So we're going to kick off with a quote from Victor Hugo, who says that nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And what I'm hoping is that for many of you who are here on this webinar, that the time has come for your big idea. So if that's true, you're in the right place. But first of all, what do we mean by a big idea? Right? A lot of people are able to talk about, oh, this is my big idea, or you know, this is someone else's big idea. It can take on a lot of meanings, but for the purposes of this webinar, and when we talk about it at Greenleaf, this is what we mean by a big idea. A big idea, first, creates change. A big idea sets you apart. A big idea inspires long-term commitment, both from you and from anybody else that you're going to be working with. And then, of course, a big idea gets you excited. It's imperative that your big idea is something that you get excited about. And it's very important that everybody around you is going to be infected by that excitement. We'd love to hear your big idea. So you can see down at the bottom, we've got our Twitter handle and our hashtag, and we would love to hear, you know, what is your big idea. And as we go through, we're going to talk about different ways to prepare your big idea for launch. And what I want to do is look at two different people. These are not real people, these are personas that we're going to use. But these are the kinds of people that we love working with. Obviously, we work with all kinds of experts, all kinds of authors who bring a wide variety of ideas. What I want to do today is take a look at some examples of how ideas can evolve over time. So, number one, we have Carol. So, Carol is a leadership consultant. She's got 30 years of management experience, all in the private sector, mostly with larger corporations. And she wants to become more independent, go out on her own and become a consultant. And her big idea that she is coming to us with, or that she wants to put out in the world, is that leaders need good data. At the same time, we have someone named Eric. Now, Eric is a physical therapist. He's got about, and what he's seeing is the same kinds of people coming to him with repetitive motion injuries, and his big idea is that this chronic pain can be managed. So we're going to follow Carol and Eric through the rest of the webinar and sort of use them and see how their big idea that they're starting with can get refined and can get prepared for getting out there in the world. And when people do come to us with a big idea, the four things that we see that really help them start are to go through these 4 stages. Number 1, look at what it is that drives them. Number 2, look at their context. Number 3, look at what they're promising. And number 4, to look at the reality. So first of all, looking at your drive and motivation, you want to think about what is it that is driving you, right? With this big idea, why is this your big idea? What is driving you to put this out there in the world? And along with that, of course, is the question of where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Wherever you're at today, it's really important to have that vision. You know, in 3 years, I would like to be in this place. I would like to be doing these things. In 5 years, same kinds of questions. And then the final question, you know, what does success look like? It's easy to dream, and we all dream all the time. I dream all the time. But it's really, really important to define success. You know, if you were to bring this vision to reality in 3 to 5 years, what would that look like? And we're inviting you right now to tweet about, you know, what defines success for you. That's a really important idea to have very soon up front. Then you know what you're going for. So let's look at what Carol and Eric would do. So Carol, again, she's a leadership consultant. For her, you know, she's thinking that leaders need good data. And so what's driving her? What's driving her is that she sees too many companies stall or fail because of guesswork at the top, right? She wants to become even more of an expert consultant in this to go around and help businesses with this, and she's really interested in writing a book and speaking about it. So for her, you know, success in 3 to 5 years would be to have that book and to be active on the speaking circuit and to be working as a consultant rather than at her current position with her company. And Eric, down below, his idea is that chronic pain can be managed. And so essentially what he sees are too many people suffering from preventable stress-related injuries, and he wants to develop a training program and related products to help ease that pain. So we'd love to hear, you know, how you define success based on your big idea. Once you feel solid on your motivation and you have a good understanding of what it is that you're driving for, that 3 to 5 year vision, the next thing you want to do is take a step back and say, okay, that's my big idea. That's where I want to get to. Rather than just start walking, you know, I'm going to look at my context and the landscape that I'm about to step into. And the 3 things that you want to look at when you're looking at your context are your audience, your competition, and then do something along the lines of a self-audit. And these are the 3 steps that whenever I'm working with an expert on an idea at the ideation stages and when they're developing that idea pre-launch, we really look at these. You want to get a very, very deep understanding of your audience, but even more so, you want to very, very deeply define who that audience is. Number 2, you want to have a really, really strong and wide understanding of who your competition is. And number 3, you want to have a really deep understanding of what it is that you're already doing so that you know what the gaps are to fill moving forward. So number 1, your audience. You know, whose problem are you solving? You want to have a good idea of, you know, what are the people out there that are dealing with this issue that I'm bringing the solution for? Who are the decision makers? You know, if you're putting a product or a training or a set of ideas out into the market, what you want to have an understanding of is who's going to be able to take action on this. When I put my big idea forward, you know, and I put in the time and the energy to motivate people, who's going to be able to make that decision and to take the next step and start one of the training programs or to buy my book, whatever it is. Third, we really recommend that you narrow your focus to a primary and secondary target. One of the big mistakes that we see people do when they're launching a big idea is to say, you know what, this idea is so good that everyone in the whole world needs this. People do it with books, people do it with products, with companies, whatever it is, and just say this idea is so wide and so life-changing that we're going to put it out there and tell everybody about it. Now, of course, you want everyone to know about the big idea when it launches, but one of the keys, especially for the launch, is to figure out specifically who's going to benefit the most, so that you can tailor your message and all of your outreach to those people. So let's take a look at how Carol would do that and how Eric would do that. Carol, the leadership consultant, is going to look at VPs and C-suite members in the technology industry, right? So this is the industry that she's already in. She understands it. She understands the decision-making process there. And while it's still a relatively large target, like the technology industry is very big, it definitely focuses the kinds of messages that she can put out there. Secondarily, she's going to be able to talk to small and medium-sized business owners in technology. You'll notice both of these sets of targets are the decision makers, and they're definitely going to be feeling the pain of trying to make decisions and wondering what to base those decisions on, and that's what the problem that Carol is solving. Second, we have Eric, and Eric is going to focus on office computer users who are dealing with chronic pain. So his big idea is that chronic pain can be managed, right? He's not going to work with everyone who has chronic pain. He's not even going to work with everyone who has chronic pain in the hand or a wrist. What he's going to work with is people who have chronic pain who work with an office computer. And while that's still wide enough for him to make an impact, it's a very specific set of issues that he's going to be able to focus his messaging on. Secondarily, he's going to look at people who are cashiers, also working with chronic pain, because that's the kind of, both of these are dealing with hand and wrist issues. So he's going to be able to speak very specifically, and he's going to be able to make products that are very, very specifically designed to solve those specific problems. So after the audience, once you've defined that, you want to look at your competitors. So who are those competitors? Who's already big in your space? Of course, once you understand what it is you're talking about, who you're talking to, you want to know who's big in this space. Who am I competing against? What will people find when they search through Google or Amazon or any of the other online retailers, right? When someone Googles the subject or the keywords or the questions that you're trying to solve, what comes up on the homepage? When someone looks for books or resources or products on a company like Amazon, what is it that they find? Who's already out there trying to solve that problem? It's critical that you have a strong understanding of what other solutions are already offered. And the third point, look at all types of media. It's really, really important to understand not just who's doing exactly what you're doing, but who's approaching the problem that you're approaching from other angles. So for example, with Carol, if she's going to put herself out there as a leadership consultant, specifically helping leaders use big data to make decisions, she needs to be really, really focused on what kind of answers and options come up on Google. So here you can see a set of Google results. She needs to know, who comes up for various keywords. When people get frustrated and go looking for information on Google, what other companies tend to come up, what articles come up, are there certain publications that come up? She wants to know those things. And also books. I've got one of Stephen Covey's books up here. Obviously, that's a book that rolls off the tongue of most people who are dealing with leadership. And just because that book's been around for a long time doesn't mean that it's not a competitor. It very much is. So she needs to understand this whole thing, media, books, and other speakers on the circuit as well. For Eric, chronic pain is not something that's brand new. This is an age-old issue. A lot of people have put things forward, and he is going to need to look at books, online media as well, but who's putting forward a regimen that people are already using to reduce their pain. Also, who's already got products out there? How are they presenting themselves? And what is it that makes, are there any themes that are making the most popular solutions, the ones that are succeeding, successful? So finally, you'll want to do a self-audit. And that means asking yourself, what am I currently doing well? What am I already known for? And who is it that already knows me? So this is the third part of really understanding your context and your landscape. Just trying to focus on, okay, I'm already getting traction here. And these are the people who are going to comprise sort of my inner circle. And those inner circle people, the people who already knows you, the people who are already supporting you, that network, are the first set of people that you're going to ask for feedback, the first set of people that you're going to ask for help when you are launching that idea. And wherever it is that you're already known and that you're already currently doing well, that's where you're going to start and leverage that to break out this new big idea into the wider space. So we'd love to hear what it is that you feel like you're known for already. If you want to tweet that and use the Big Ideas hashtag. So for Carol and Eric, for example, Carol, the leadership consultant, she is already part of her own company's leadership team, and she started maintaining a leadership blog. This is one thing that we see a lot of people do early on. It's a way to sort through ideas. It's a way to put your ideas out there without making a gigantic commitment to something, because you can blog and you can test ideas, and that's one of the great things about blog. She also speaks at local events on leadership, so she's already started this. Again, that's a really good way to test ideas. It's a really good way to start testing the waters and really seeing what people's reactions are to her concepts. Eric, he volunteers monthly at a local hospital. He's a working physical therapist, so he's already deeply, deeply embedded in the kind of issue that he's trying to address. He has a sheet of tips that he sends to his friends, and he didn't do this on purpose. We see this a lot when people come in. They say, people are already coming to me with all these questions, and this is what I usually tell them. And a lot of times people will say this, these are 20 pages of notes, or these are the key blog posts that I constantly refer people who need help. I refer them to these things. And a lot of times that can be the core, number one, of a book, but also of a product, also of a new service. If people are repeatedly asking for that help and you have that answer, that's a great foundation for launching a big idea. Finally, he's already working with a designer on a prototype, right? He understands if he's going to make a product, it's not going to happen overnight. So he's already testing out a few things, and this doesn't have to be some very large process. Right now, it's just good to get something that he can try out. So once you've looked at the first two steps, the next section that's really, really important and really getting to the meat of preparing to launch your big idea is the promise and the position. Within your promise and position, this is where you focus on the branding section. And you want to think this through before you launch, because you want to know, what is it that I'm trying to put out there in the world? And if you think of the idea of a brand as the sum total of everything that everyone out there thinks about you, this section, thinking about your promise, is really devoted to thinking about, okay, this is how I want to influence that. This is what I want to put out there. This is where all of my messaging and all of my assets are coming from. So number one, you want to look at your vision. Number two, you want to look at your promise. Number three, you want to look at differentiation, which simply means how are you different? How do you stand out? So first of all, the vision, what drives you? What drives your idea? How would you change the world? And what gets better? So the question that we ask people when we're helping them craft their vision is to say, okay, you have this big idea. Now, if you could change the world in 3 to 5 years in your area, what is it that you would make happen? What would that new world look like? For Carol, the way that she wants to change the world is she wants leaders to draw actionable insights from data, right? That's a really, really important thing that she sees that isn't happening. It's hurting companies, and it makes it harder to work at places. And for her, she wants leaders to draw those actionable insights from data. You look at Eric, and what Eric looks out and sees is repetitive motion injury sufferers find long-term relief without surgery or medicine. Right? The biggest thing that he's seeing is, okay, all of these people come to me, and the ones who are happiest, and the way that he would love to see the world change is that people don't have to deal with difficult surgeries or long-term medicine or whatever it is. What he wants is for people to be able to manage that chronic pain on their own. So the promise. Now this is different. Once you know what change it is that you want to see in that world, The next step is to look at, okay, well, what is the promise? What is it that I bring to the table? You know, and the questions you want to ask yourself there are, how does your audience benefit? What is it that you're giving to them? What is the solution that you're giving? What problem is it that you're solving? And what translates across mediums? And I find that this is really important. Anytime you're launching an idea in today's landscape with the internet and with all of the options for people to access what it is you're talking about, you're going to need an idea that translates across mediums. What I mean by that is you're going to need something, you know, that can be launched through a book, through the internet, through speaking, through video, and every other medium, you know, that is out there and available to you. Now, you're not necessarily going to go after all of them at the same time, but you do want something that's going to translate. You want to be able to talk about it and have something that, you know, is going to be able to make an impact no matter how it is that you're putting that message out there. So if we take a look at Carol, Carol's vision, once again, is to draw actionable insights from data. So the promise, you know, what she's bringing to the table to really move the dial is that she has developed, through her 30 years, a system for analyzing data that virtually eliminates guesswork, right? So if she can bring that out there and say, you know what, this is the change I want to see happen, and the more people that can use this system, the more people are going to walk away with these actionable insights. Eric, on the other hand, says, okay, I want to find long-term relief for these folks without surgery or medicine. So his promise is tools and training to beat chronic hand pain, hand and wrist pain, right? So his promise is, I've developed a tool and I've developed training for you, and it's going to help you solve your problem. Finally, differentiation. So what is it that makes you unique? Why should anyone care? And what is your wow factor? And when we talk about this, finding out what it is that makes you unique is really, really important. What we want to see is you standing out against all of that, all of the competitors and all of the peers that we were talking about earlier. And when you go in and start talking about your big idea, when you launch that product, when you launch that book, when you productize on your idea, whatever it is, the thing that makes you unique is where the conversation is going to start and where you're actually going to start making the impact that you want to make. So why should anyone care is critical. We all ask that question when we see something new, whether we want to say so or not, and you certainly want to be out there with a strong answer to that. So a couple examples, right, with Carol, when she puts her thing out there, the way that she's differentiating is that her system is not just something that you come to her for, because lots of leadership consultants are coming out with, you know, a book and a program and all of these things, and they all have a good answer to that problem. And the way she's going to differentiate is to say, you know what, I'm going to provide a 360-degree structure that teams can use to self-facilitate. You know, she's going to say, once you work with me, your next steps are going to be doing this with yourself. You know, you won't need to keep bringing me back every year. You are going to be able to ask the right questions of each other in the structure and make these actionable insights and eliminate the guesswork on your own. And that's powerful. That's not something that is happening with every consultant. Third, or not third, but for Eric, his third piece, you know, when he goes out there, yes, he's going to offer tools. A lot of people are offering tools to help with hand and wrist pain. He's also going to offer some training, some exercises, but those things have been out there. The differentiation for him, he's going to offer live video coaching to help new enrollees, right? So if you get one of his products, if you are using some of his training, whether it's in a book or online, he's actually going to be there to live video chat with you or someone on his staff as he builds this out to show you how to use it right. When you have those questions, you know, that's how he's going to differentiate. You don't have to try to figure it out on your own. You can get with him. So now that you're ready, or now that you're either Carol or Eric or whatever it is with your idea, and you're ready to launch it, and you've built up that excitement, and you've built up, all of the thinking behind putting together your big idea and preparing it for launch, setting it up for success. What do you need to do next? Well, at this point, you need to take another step back, and you want to look at your reality and your resources. And one of the things that I really love is being able to see how things connect. And this last section, I take some inspiration from someone named Charles Eames. For those of you who may be familiar, he makes a lot of amazing furniture chairs, the Eames chair, many of us have sat on. And he said that eventually everything connects, people, ideas, and objects. And the quality of the connections is the key to quality per se. And I think that's really important. When you do have a big idea, when you're preparing it for launch, one of the things you want to understand is that that idea at some point, is going to leave your head. It's going to leave your planning stage. It is going to go out there, and you want to start tapping those connections and understanding how it interacts with people in the real world before you launch. It's not something that you want to do reserve 100% for after that launch. So the things that we recommend looking at when you're dealing with this is to look at your core strengths, to look at your personal role, and to look at where is it that you can get help. So first of all, core strengths, right? What are you already doing? What is it that you spend your time doing already? How much of that is going to be related to launching your big idea? Another question to ask around that is, what areas do people frequently come to you for help with? Just like I was talking about before, when you have a set of answers that you frequently email out to people, when you have a set of answers that you're consistently sort of giving to people, when you find yourself talking about the same thing all the time, that's definitely a core strength. Whether you're doing it, offering the information, whatever that is, it's important that you understand that that's not something that everybody knows. One mistake that we'll see people who are experts in something, when they're trying to figure out what the big idea is and what to focus on, they'll say, this thing that I talk about all the time, like everybody knows that already. And it's not always the case. Often, if you're an expert in something, the case is you know all about that already. You already know because you talk about it all the time. But the fact that you're talking about it so much means that other people are hungry for that knowledge, and that's what you want to capitalize on. And finally, that third point is really, really important in launching a big idea. When do you feel most alive? And I actually think that this is critical. I don't think it's, oh, it would be nice, if I was excited about this thing, but business, I don't have to be excited about it, or this big idea, I don't have to be committed to it per se. When you have that big idea, if you're going to turn it around and you're going to launch something with it, whether that's a book, a product, a series, etc., if it doesn't make you feel alive and if you're not passionate about it, it's going to be difficult to find the gas, when things get tough or when things get busy because they're going so well. So it's really important up front to understand the core strength, whatever it is that you want to run with. You want it to be something that also gets you motivated, not just the people that you're talking to. Equally, that personal role, where is it that you're most needed? That's important. You want to understand what's the thing that people keep coming to you for help with. What is it that people are constantly asking you about? And then you want to look at which of those pieces are you going to take on. What are the things, number one, that you will need to delegate or you'll need to outsource? They may be critical to your idea, but you may not actually be able to spend the time on them, or you may not have the skill set for them. And finally, what are the things that only you can do? For example, a lot of experts, when they launch a big idea, will want to pivot from working in a corporation or from working with one company to doing more speaking and to writing a book. So in that case, is everyone a talented speaker, and is everyone a talented book creator, from author to editorial to design? No. Everyone's got a different set of skills. So in that case, you may say, you know what? I want to be out on the speaking circuit. I want to be generating consulting business from that. What I need to delegate and what I need to outsource and get help with is the design of the book. I'm going to need some editorial help. I'm going to need someone else, to go out and find the conferences that I need to be at. I'm going to need an image consultant. Whatever it is, I'm going to need a public relations firm. But the thing that only I can do is give the speeches. Only I can write the draft of the book. And that's really, really important, because then you can say, all right, well, I'm going to focus my energy on those pieces, right? I'm going to say, I'm going to spend the vast majority of my energy preparing for this, putting together those ideas, and getting myself really, really comfortable on stage talking about these ideas or talking about this product or whatever it is. In another situation, if you're more like Eric and you were launching a product that goes along with the field that you already work in, where you most needed the answer to that may be something more along the lines of you're needed, explaining the finer points to specific chronic pain sufferers. What can you delegate or outsource? All the construction of the product, right? He's not going to be able to create the product. He's not going to be able to make any of the tweaks on the product itself. So he's going to need to either bring on a partner or go out there and actually say, you know what, I need someone else to completely take over this process. It sends my head spinning, and I just don't know what the right steps are to even start approaching it. He may also need to outsource, all of the tech around being able to do video chat and video coaching for all the people. Finally, what is it that only he can do? Only he is going to be able to put together those tips, right? He's developed his own process, and only he is going to be able to put the personality behind what it is that he's creating, behind that training program, and behind the product. So those are the pieces that he's going to own. I would be really interested, for those of you who've been tweeting about your big ideas, put out there what it is that you think only you can do. We'd be really interested in hearing a little bit more about that. And the key things to consider, regardless of these, the questions that you want to ask yourself when you're preparing for launch are, how much time is it going to take you? How much travel is going to be involved? If you are doing a speaking circuit, do you want to travel once a month? Are you willing to travel 40% of your time? Is it going to be public facing? When people are launching a big idea, a lot of experts who we work with, one of the big decisions is how much am I, as an expert, going to be the face of my brand? How much am I going to be the face of this idea? Am I going to be the person who's on the cover of the book? Am I going to be the person who's talking about it? Am I going to be the person, who's giving the talks? Or am I going to be on a team and someone else is going to be, the face or the most forward? Finally, financial needs. How much of this funding that you're going to need do you already have, and how much are you going to need to get from other sources? How much do you have up front, and how much of it is going to be you making decisions about what next steps you can take as the project goes? And then finally, you want to understand what it is that you need to get help with. What do you know that you don't want to be responsible for? So we talked about a few of those things on the last slide, but if it is something that you need help with, you want to start asking early, and you want to line that up. Where will you need to delegate, hire out, or get that help with? And then who can you ask for feedback? This last step with feedback is something that we see as incredibly beneficial to folks. Anytime an expert is getting ready to launch that big idea, one of the ways to set yourself up for success is to get feedback on that idea. So if you're blogging about it, if it's something that you're talking about and giving information out already on, or if it's something that you're testing, in Eric's case with patients. Those are probably the first places where you're going to get that feedback. But all of these different areas, business and strategic partners, all the way around to your customers, to your trusted colleagues and peers, the kind of people that you're around all the time. You can also get feedback, from a wider audience, doing a social media poll, right? Putting yourself out there for some kind of an open discussion, this being one of them. Doing some sort of email survey if you are someone who's already has a email list, or if you're someone who's developing an idea within an organization that would be willing to put it out there in an email. That's an excellent way to get initial feedback. And then, of course, looking at a focus group is always a good way to get some initial feedback, to see if you're on point with that big idea, to see if it really is something that the people in your target audience are going to be interested in. Whatever it is, if you can do all of these, you would be a superhero, but you certainly want to pick the ones that you can do and go out there and get feedback early and often. And that brings us to the end of step one, stage one in launching your big idea. And like we talked about before, the first step in launching your big idea is to prepare to launch your big idea. And so Carol, as she went through this process, just to recap where she's at, she's a leadership consultant. She knows she's going to focus on VP and C-suite members in tech. She knows that her vision is leaders drawing actionable insights from data, and her promise is offering a system for analyzing that data that eliminates guesswork. And she's different because the system that she teaches is a 360-degree Q&A structure, so that teams can self-facilitate. She wants to be a speaker and an author, right? That's where she's going to put her energy, and she's going to get feedback, or she's going to get help with the other pieces, and she's going to focus on getting initial feedback from trusted peers. And then we've got Eric, who we've been tracing. He's the physical therapist, and he's, of course, working with office computer users dealing with chronic pain. His vision is that they find long-term relief without surgery or medicine. What he's bringing to the table is tools and training to beat chronic hand and wrist pain. And he's also going to bring something that's going to make him stand out, which is live video coaching to help anybody who's new to his products or new to his materials. So he views himself as a productizer and a coach. And he also knows that his initial feedback round is going to come from current patients and beta users. All right. Well, those are the first set of steps that we recommend and that we see as contributing to success for experts when you go out there and you take your big idea and you want to get it prepared for launch and you want to set yourself up for success. What we want to see now, if you haven't already, we'd love to see you tweet your big idea to us. We'd love to hear about it. And if you do put your big idea out there, some of you I think I'm going to be talking to in the future. If you're interested in talking with me or somebody else on our brand strategy staff, we'd love to talk with you about your big idea. And also the other folks who are participating in that Twitter chat, any kind of feedback back and forth on big ideas, that's fantastic. And at this point, well, I'll introduce that next month. We're going to be talking about expanding your brand and looking at different ways to take all of this background thinking and all of this preparation to set yourself up for success. Looking at what does that look like when you look at specific networks and you want to start getting that idea out there. How is that going to look? We'll be back with more about that in February. And right now I want to say thank you and also open it up for questions. If there are people out there who have questions about this process, the preparation process, questions about branding a big idea, questions about preparing any section that we've gone over so far, feel free to put those questions either through Twitter or send those questions in directly over to your chat box, and I'll address those. Let's see, do we have any questions at this point? All right. Okay. Well, let's see. It looks like we've got one question that I'm seeing come in, and that question is, what is the most important thing about the preparation process? Okay. Good question. Basically, what I think is the most important is the very first section. I think it's critical to do the audience and the competitive analysis. This whole idea of refining an idea down so that the idea is, the vision, the promise, and all of those statements. That's really, really important. And of course, you would never want to cut that out. But when I think about what's critical in the sense of what's something that not everybody does, it's really thinking deeply about the audience and the competitive landscape. So it's really important, down the line as you launch this, as you bring on new partners, as you do any of those steps, who it is that you're talking to, and then to understand what other people in your space are saying. So I would say that is probably the most important from the standpoint that not everyone is going to do that kind of work, and it's really going to allow you to position yourself very on point, regardless of what medium you're launching your big idea on. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. In that case, we'll just once again say thank you. And it's been, like I said, we love working with experts on their ideas, and it's really, really the thing that we thrive on is talking with experts about ideas and helping those ideas become reality. And I want to say thank you for spending some time with me today. And if you do have a big idea that you'd like to talk more about, we would love to hear from you. And if you do have more questions, put them out there on Twitter in the future. You can send an email down below. And thank you all very much, and I appreciate your time.